between lives, then they're offering that, but they're calling it everlasting. You know, I don't know if you saw that quote, that reel I quoted, or posted from Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, they're offering heaven as everlasting when it's a transition for people to reincarnate again.
Right. Well, and he didn't say that, but he was saying.
Who, Charlie Lutz?
No, Joseph Campbell, the philosopher that
okay.
inspired Star Wars and all sorts of other stuff. Wonderful thinker. But he very interesting, said that everlasting, he's being interviewed by some reporters, that everlasting is not the same as eternal. Everlasting, which I never thought of it this way, but it's a fascinating distinction. Everlasting means that it just goes on. Eternal means infinite, undying.
So you can say the everlasting goes on in the infinite. Ah.
Everything goes on forever in the infinite, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, because it's everlasting,
yeah.
It keeps going, and infinite has no end.
Yeah, he was making the distinction between eternal and everlasting. He was saying that that Christianity offers everlasting whatever, and he loved Hinduism and Vedic stuff and all that, and he said that the difference is that the experience of the infinite, not just time doesn't end, but the experience of the infinite, that's eternity. So.
He was equating.
It's a fine line, because in most English definitions that I've ever known, everlasting and eternal are the same thing. But he got to a deeper level of that definition. And I'm not doing it justice, but it made more sense when I heard him say it.
It's just something interesting about Dolores Cannon and her videos. A video just popped up the other day, and it is interesting because I was wondering if she was gonna get to this point but she talked, those little reels, they're very short, so she didn't continue. They just show a minute or so, and she was talking about people here making decisions. Every time you make a decision in your life, like, are you going to get married, are you going to get that job, are you going to move somewhere else, whatever, every time you make a decision, other realities of you go through the other decisions.
I've heard that. We've talked about this many years ago as well.
Yes, I've also heard about that. So, but I wonder how that is at the end, because if you go about, okay, I made a choice, because her whole thing, well, I haven't seen everything she says or read everything she wrote, but some, a good amount, but most of her premise is that you go through life, and then when you die, and then the masters or whomever are there help you plan for a next reincarnation, and you see everything you've done in your life that could have been different, and the people that you had a contract with to play this play, then everybody agrees to be like, oh, I'm going to be the mother this time, I'm going to be the father this time, I'm going to be the son this time, to see if they can get around whatever issue.
Yeah.
But then she said the other day that when you go and make your choice in your life, other realities of you, I don't think she used the word realities, but I forgot what she said, were happening at the same time, making the other choices. Like a bunch of others, you are making the same choices everywhere. But then that doesn't make sense, because if that happens, see what I'm thinking? If that happens, I make a choice, and then a bunch of me make the other choices, and I'm not aware of it, but there's me there making choices. Then at the end of life, doesn't that mean you have lived over your choices then? All those you come together to you?
It's a very fascinating thing, but the way I get that possibility, the whole scenario, is that the best way to talk about this. The more we evolve, the more there's steps of this understanding. The more we evolve, the greater the greater territory of influence we have. Larger, larger, larger. I mean, this can be seen infant, child, out of the crib, in the room, but in evolutionary as well.
Yeah.
The more we evolve, the more we influence, the greater the area of our influence, not just geographical area, but that too. And the next point of that is that with that, not only comes greater responsibility, that's a side point in this discussion, but we have more choices, we have more options, because with the greater the territory of influence, the greater the resources we have access to.
Yeah.
Karmic resources, material resources, spiritual resources, name it. Whatever, however you want to define as resources. Other people, other things, other opportunities. These are all resources. So, with that said, sort of if that's the foundation of this, then even if it's like a multifaceted crystal, and each facet, each little section is one of our lives going on simultaneously. It's sort of a holographic thing where everything's going on at the same time.
Do you talk about all reincarnations, or just one
Well,
one reincarnation in your different realities of that one?
In the concept that you're bringing forward, that we talked about a long time ago, but that is sort of being refreshed here by Dolores Cannon, is that simultaneously all these things are going on at the same time.
Okay.
Right.
All the choices I could have ever made are all happening.
Yeah, but here's the
somewhere
point.
else.
All the choices that you could have ever made is still, you can say, restricted, not the best word in this case, by how evolved all of those aspects of you are.
Okay,
So that
fine.
means-
Yeah, I can.
So then as
go
all
with
of
that.
you are evolving,
Yeah.
every aspect, facet of you are evolving, your resources and thereby your choices increase as well.
Right.
Until you're out of that hologram. However you want to put it. You just came out from behind the sofa. I think everything's okay.
Hi, Nini. Hi, Jidu. But
So yes, they're all going on at the same time. And yes, it seems like all possible choices are being made because all these aspects of you are going on at the same time. If we subscribe, and I tend to agree with the idea.
But how does that impact when you die from that life? How does that impact your destiny
They're all,
if you have actually lived all the choices you could have made? So why are you
with the
coming
resource-
back
with
again?
the resources that you have up to that point. But then you're evolving another step or two or whatever further, and then you have more resources, so more choices to make. You know, and here's the problem with this whole, with the dilemma with this whole analysis. It is almost impossible to not think about reincarnation in a linear fashion, sequentially.
Oh no, that's okay. I can think of it non sequentially. That's fine, not linear at all. But I just don't understand how can you, if you have lived all those opportunities, if you and other realities of you have gone through everything you could have gone through. It's not just this choice I made, and another me has gone the other way to live that reality.
Right.
At the same time, I'm here doing this reality. At the end, shouldn't all that come together? And you have experienced all those realities, and
The issue.
and then what you're saying is that, but you're not. Depends on how evolved you are spiritually, how
In a way, but-
and then you can come back to the bed. But it doesn't make sense to when you go there and you're talking to the masters and then you're seeing your life, then you're seeing all the choices you have made. So what's
In
the
the-
point? You
But
already
here-
went through everything.
My belief in that is that when you see the masters and whatever, the angelic hosts, whoever there to help you, is that you just walk around circles and circles.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Go eat your food.
Probably wants it on the floor. Let me look near the floor. Where the lamp, thinking about it.
Yeah.
I thought about this before this way, but the way I'm thinking about it is that, well, first of all, what I was just saying before, that was it. My belief, based on my scattered bits of understanding, is that when you are getting that guidance and help from whoever at the transition times, it is especially, I don't want to say exclusively because I don't know if that's true, but it is especially about that particular life, that one life that you're revolving through. Not that there aren't other ones going on at the same time, but
You mean the other realities of that same life?
yeah, but you see,
So you're gonna meet with them several times to talk about the other realities too, or that's
Potentially.
gonna be another you?
I would think another you, because.
But how can there be another you? I thought at least at the end they would just kind of mingle together.
But that would presume that when someone passes away in from this body, in this dimension, whatever, that they all pass away at the same time. That I don't think that's logical.
They don't. Maybe you just stay somewhere waiting for your other. No, not waiting because it already happened.
Well, that's part of the paradox.
Everything is already
But-
happened.
But what I was going to
Past,
say.
present, future already happened.
Yeah, but that adds a part of the paradox that basically, I don't know how you further discuss it once you have that part.
Yeah, I
But-
just don't know if she
but-
talks any place about
but-
it, how it is this.
But the way I look at
Parts
it, I'm
of
just
you.
sort of making up this metaphor at the time, is that going back to the idea of resources and opportunities and choices and all that stuff, is that let's say that metaphorically, that each aspect of you, in this case, is in this house, but each individual aspect is in a different room. Every room offers different abilities to you. I'm not so much saying limitations, it's another consideration. But that if you're supposed to grow, learn, create, whatever you're needing to do in that room, you have the boundaries, I wouldn't even call them limitations, of that room, and also
No, I understand what you're trying to say, and then you haven't, you can surpass that spiritually when you come back to another reincarnation. I understand.
Yeah.
You have up to a certain amount of influence because
Yeah.
depending on how evolved you are.
But what I'm getting at is that that you're in all the different aspects of you are in each room, and making best use of what's in that room.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, and
But then how do you put that all together at the end? That's what I
Well,
want to know.
I think it could be suggested, I don't want to say argued, that each room is a different dimension, could be a different planet, whatever. Different planets exist on different dimensions as well.
Maybe not, because we're talking about one life when you made different choices in this life here on planet Earth. And then there are different
Why-
parts of you making different choices.
Well,
That's what I'm talking about. I don't want to go through all the dimensions, other stuff.
but
No.
well then that, if I understand your logic in that point, that would presume that everybody's, all their different aspects of their lives, those different manifestations of their life going on simultaneously, are all in the same three dimensions that we're in right here. I don't think that that was possible. That
I think that's what she thinks because she has given examples of clients of hers that of people she knows that someone will say, "Oh, I thought I saw you in such place," and they had decided not to go to that place and go to the other place, and she's that's how she's accounting for
I
the
don't buy it.
doppelganger, I guess.
Yeah. You know, I think there can be some of that going on, but if we have multitudes of lives going on simultaneously, I just don't see how that can exist in the same three-dimensional space.
Maybe it's not in the same. It's something. It is the same, but a little bit. And we don't see it. It's happening here, but we don't see it. We see very little of the spectrum of
Well,
light.
that's my point. Well, you see, all right, maybe three dimensions is not the best term to use.
I've had when I was a teenager, I had different people tell me they saw me in this party, in this concert, in this thing, and I thought I didn't go,
Yeah.
and they'd swear that it was me.
Right,
And
right.
I thought, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not possible, but to say that there are multitudes of lives going on
Okay,
simultaneously.
let's suppose it is possible, like she thinks it is.
Yeah.
Dolores Cannon thinks it is. How do you then at the end you would suppose that they all come together and then I have the knowledge of all the choices I could have made. And good or bad or whatever. Then I have all that knowledge.
That,
Right?
but,
All
okay,
of
but-
me's would come back together to be one me,
okay, but-
and then I would have all that experience.
But you are attaching this to the fourth dimension being time, that it's all going on simultaneously and ending simultaneously. And I don't think that's the case.
I don't think either, but since everything already happened, anyway,
Well, again, that
we're not going to go there. I don't want to go there. That's not the part I want to discuss because we'll get nowhere.
Yeah, I
There's no
know.
answer to that.
You're right, exactly.
But I'm just thinking her logic is not right because if she thinks, oh, a bunch of other yous are there making those other choices. You exist in other realms doing, other realms of existence, making those other choices you didn't make here all at the same time. Which I think is quite clever. It would be nice at the end of the road to, after you die, maybe you get all those other yous together in one you, and then you have the knowledge of all the choices you could ever made. Where did they go?
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of knowledge. And how can you account for, okay, now you have to go back again.
Because again, going back to my
But
original
then,
point.
no, please let me
Go,
talk.
sorry, go ahead.
Now you go back again. But then, if you already made all the choices, if you already have lived all that you could have lived in that character, then it has to be something completely different and with other people. Because to me, if you already have all those unlimited pieces of you everywhere, making all the different choices, experiencing all the different things that you didn't because you just stood with your choice, and then all the millions of you there experiencing other things, that has to count immensely at the end. You have to have the knowledge of all those experiences because they are others you, or not, or don't you all come back together to being you, or you just what? Are we like little robots then, or little cells? She likes to say that we're cells in God's body. I don't think so. I find that incredibly boring. I can't imagine, we're here getting experience and then we go back to God. That's perfect love and be there with God and be happy. I'm still not
Well,
100% sold in that idea
That's my
of
understanding.
Christianity. I think that's just very, the thing is, it's very Christian to me.
But that's my understanding of what the experience and recollection or remembering is in between. Is that you experience that you are in divine grace. Doesn't mean you're done.
Hope not. You're just going to be there.
Yeah.
You're part of God, and that's it. What's the point?
Wait, that is my insight, understanding, whatever, of what Christianity has promoted as heaven, because that's the best they can offer. That when you go, I think they're giving the incomplete story, the sweet part of the incomplete
Oh no,
story.
she does give the story that there are places that you go that looks like heaven. You stay there for a while with your, relatives that have already passed away. You have a good life there, and then they tell you now it's time to evolve.
Yeah, time.
You
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
go
you got
on.
More, you got more to do, right?
You already stayed here long enough.
Yeah.
But who is there to tell you? Who is it giving all those orders? I don't know.
Well,
I
it's
don't
not
like
supposed-
this premise. I don't like none of this premise
It's
of
not-
reincarnation, having to learn or having to suffer, having to go through this. I don't like none of this. I'd like another perspective. Really, I'd like to see if there's another perspective at all. Because at the end, it looks like it's all Christian bullshit to me. Go back to the loving God, having suffered, having gone through shit here, and go back down. So wonderful being with God. Fuck it. No, no, no. This is not. This is the point of view of a Christian God.
Yeah, because they're again, they're giving an incomplete, sweet truth. In between, I know you're not loving the idea of reincarnation right now, but I'm trying to add something to this. In between lives, there is the experience of divine grace. The way I get it, not having been brought up in this, but the way I understand it is that the Christian teaching is when you die you go to heaven, and it's not inaccurate, but it's just that it's an aspect of heaven where you don't stay, because being there, realizing the complete divinity, through realizing God, is not about going somewhere. It's not about a transition. It's about the inner awakening to divinity. And in this realm, that happens through the refinement of the nervous system.
Well, you're sounding Christian too. And so at the end, it's all about being with God, the divinity. I don't buy that, really.
Look, enlightenment is the first stage of God realization.
Why there has to be a God? Why it has to be all about God realization, God this, God that?
Well,
You're talking to another filter too.
it
You
doesn't-
also have a filter of Hinduism.
Yeah, I
the-
know it. Of course I do. And language is limited, but the point is that you don't need to call it God. You can just say the infinite. The self is infinite. The creation comes from the infinite. The finite comes from the infinite. So we are experiencing finiteness.
Yeah.
But we're not experiencing the source of where that comes. Once we do that, we experience our finiteness as infinite.
Yeah, but supposedly we came from there before. We already experienced the infinite before, and then we come here to experience the finite.
Yeah, well, this is one of
What
your
for?
old-time dilemmas as to why do we have to go through all this.
Yeah, why?
I don't have an answer to that.
I'm against it.
Sorry, it's just, there is the.
There's school. Here it's a school. You gotta learn. Well,
That's
I'm
one
out
way
of
to look
school.
at
I
it.
don't want to be here learning nothing.
Yeah, well, that's.
Learning what? There's just so much crap everywhere. So much bad stuff everywhere. I don't know. I know, and then you say, "Oh, for an enlightened person, it isn't," and depending of your spirituality, of how evolved you are, this and that. But this doesn't make sense to me. It's all bullshit. Sounds to me like it's all bullshit. It's just perspectives of whatever religion they want to put in there. I don't know if that's not the whole truth to me.
No,
There's a lot missing there.
religion is never the whole truth.
Yeah, but all this thing that you die and then you go there and then they tell and then you see what you can do better next time. What? We're school forever? Oh, no.
No, we're not. I don't subscribe that we're in school forever.
It's just so shitty. I don't know. It's just all very. Yeah, the point views at the end. It's all about. I find this reincarnation things very much religious doctrine to me.
It is. It is connected with our. I'm not saying it is totally this, but it is connected with our experience of linear time. And that may be the best way that, or the most logical way that the human brain can get it.
Yeah, we get very little, don't we?
Yeah, because it is more likely that within that understanding, there is also the holographic understanding of all this is going on all the time, all of our aspects, all of our lives, whatever. What you were first talking about, what Dolores Cannon was saying. But we are not able to adequately comprehend and deal with how the simultaneous experiences could be actually happening, because we don't have a ability to experience
Such thing.
consistently and reliably even one other dimension of our lives.
Yeah, I thought about that. This is something when I was a teenager I thought about. What if I did make other choices? What if I'm somewhere there living that other choice? I thought of that all by myself a long time ago.
Not surprised.
And I thought, how would that be? That would be interesting, because maybe at the end I have lived all I was able to. To me, that's more efficient.
Up to that point.
Yes, but to me, that's more efficient
Right.
system. That you have
Yeah.
many of you going about doing
Right.
the different choices.
Up to that point.
Yes, but isn't that more efficient? That sounds more efficient.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But what
Does,
realities?
does that feel like cells in a body then? Many
Well-
cells doing that same thing? Because
No,
you said we're cells in God's body.
Well,
God
way
forbid, I don't want that.
You see, the way I look at that example, not
It,
that
it
big
feels
word,
like millions of cells doing that work. Think about it.
but you see, there may be a weakness in that analogy. The way I see it is that if we were to consider that kind of analogy, neuroscientists don't understand how how all of the individual cells of the brain collectively create the experience that we have of life, of consciousness. They can't figure out how all of that functioning, all those billions or whatever it is of brain cells, neurons and everything else, actually create the bigger experience of life and awareness and consciousness. They have clues, you know, okay, these symptoms, when these neurons do this, then we remember this, but the bigger understanding of how it all comes together, they don't get. They don't see how individual cells, even billions of them, working together, create a more holistic experience. So in that regard, I think that the example of the cell is accurate when it's added that way. But to consider that we're just sort of these relatively meaningless, nondescript, relatively nondescript little things that have these little responsibilities, and they're all part of this bigger machine or whatever that then functions in a certain way, that, to me, that analogy breaks down, because I mean, there's still some mysteries of, even that example, there are some mysteries of simple blood cells and all that, whatever kinds of cells, fat cells, this, that I don't, my understanding is that modern science doesn't completely.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about us cells in the human body. I'm talking as being part of God's body.
Yeah, but
that's something else.
But she's using that example of, you know, it's an analogy, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
the spirit, us spiritually.
well, yeah, and that's the thing, is that spirit is always bigger than the material. So
there's this school of thought that we came from God as if we're inside a box, and then we decided to get out of the box and go in all directions. And then we're gathering information, and then we long to come home, and then we'll come home with everything we gathered. I don't know.
That's an overly simplistic
form but I don't.
It's an overly simplistic analysis that is actually a poetic elaboration of the idea of heaven, coming home. You know, and there are qualities of that, you know, that are reasonable and accurate and pretty, all these different things. But stating the obvious here, but if you take all of matter, every material thing, and put it all together, you wouldn't end up with spirit. You just end up with more matter.
I'm not talking about the matter, I'm just talking about the spirit.
I know, but what I'm saying is that your point.
No, we're all part of God. We'll go back to God. That's what they think.
Yeah.
A lot of people think.
But it isn't just on the level of the more experiences you get, the more you'll experience the spirit, which is kind of what you were saying some people think. We're out there to get experiences, to learn, to grow, all these different things.
Wasn't that part of reincarnation? Isn't that what it is?
Part of it, but it, you know, it is essentially reincarnation, or the whole idea of coming back and all that, is that we keep on going through the material levels until we essentially figure out that we're not going to get there by only going through the material. You need to get beyond the material to transcend it in order to find the source of it all, the spirit, the spirituality. Maybe I shouldn't say the spirit in this case.
Okay.